Om Namo Narayana. Welcome back. We're continuing our walk through Radhakarana's little book, Shastra Kakusha, which I'm sure is sparking a lot of thought and conversation, good or bad. Either way, I enjoy it all. Thank you for watching. Today's chapter is called Shastra is Gospel. A person educated in science, such as physics, is deeply invested in its methodologies and is unlikely to change his view unless confronted with a stronger scientific theory. Sankhya, the study of universal elements, has led physicists to conjecture on both the laws of the universe and the atom. With the invention of photon chambers, an attempt at splitting the illusory atom has been made, and as quantum physicists attempt to understand this domain, their assumptions are becoming increasingly theoretical and based on mathematical problem solving. This is evident by the highly speculative string theory and the equally nonsensical multiverse theory, which some believe is simply an attempt to save the dying Big Bang theory. In either the extremely large or small worlds, the common man must simply accept highly speculative assumptions and, in effect, buy into the philosophies of the moment. According to the mathematical speculations of string theory, the universe has 11 dimensions. Making assumptions following this doctrine, Sariputta Prabhu hypothesized that the regions of Jambudvipa, that according to the Bhagavatam lay at a measurable and verifiable distance from our earth, are in another dimension. This speculation is not supported by the unambiguous teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, which clearly state that the other areas of Jambudvipa are earthly regions. The great Sukadeva Goswami said, among the 9 Varshas, the tract of land known as Bharatavarsha is understood to be the field of fruitive activities. Learned scholars and saintly persons declare the other 8 Varshas to be meant for very highly elevated pious persons. After returning from the heavenly planets, they enjoy the remaining results of their pious activities in these 8 earthly Varshas. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 17. The word Varsha means a tract of land, and on our greater Earth island there are 9 large tracts of land. The beings on tracts of land just beyond our Earth island are said to have come down from the heavenly regions to Earth. We should have faith that the incredibly intelligent authors and speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam knew which words they were speaking and could understand the difference between a tract of land and a globular planet floating in the outer space of another dimension. Surely, if they wanted to say this, they would have. To avoid confusion about the heavenly areas of Jambudvipa that are earthly, Srila Prabhupada uses the term Bhalma Svarga Pada Ni and explains that there are heavenly regions on earth, in the lower realms, and in the upper realms. Heavenly herein is a relative statement that depends on beauty, strength, power, mystic abilities, commodities, wealth, intelligence, etc. And we also see more or less heavenly lifestyles in our civilizations. The heavenly areas on the earthly plateau, called Bhumandala, are all on the same continuum and therefore undisputedly not in another dimension. Speculations about Bhagavatam's verses that alter Vasyadeva's teachings to fit with the string theory and globe theory can be dangerous and misleading. Devotees should be aware of this. We may imagine that these complexities of Sariputta may have been placed in his subconscious mind by his prior liking for mathematics and the programming of these speculative sciences of quantum mechanics. However, by default of hearing the assumptions of a highly esteemed scientific devotee, people buy into his premise, which is presented with reason, flowery scientific jargon, and scriptural references. If that message is not correct, an untruth may be accepted as truth, and this is dangerous. Even if it is presented as hypothetical or tentative, still, on the authority of scientific speculation, common people accept flowery speculations, and that can have far reaching implications for all devotees to come if the speculations are not correct. I can give an example of this. Some 9 years ago, I wrote to H. Hiradayananda Maharaja asking his opinion on the flat earth hypothesis that was gaining traction in the secular world. He replied that as far as he was concerned, Sariputta Prabhu had already explained everything correctly. Here we should remember that Sariputta Prabhu presented his assumptions as possibilities and never claimed to have understood matters fully. At that time, I knew that Sariputta had not done this, as I had an alternative understanding that was based on Shastra and not on scientific speculation. I realized that even though Sariputta's ideas on extra dimensions were as unverifiable as the string theorist's ideas on 10 or 11 or even 28 dimensions, still the general devotees accepted such a given based on the presenter's academic qualifications. By way of geometry, Srimad Bhagavatam does discuss 7 specific ways of perceiving reality within the Bhumandala, but these are all on the same dimensional continuum called Greater Earth. According to the various lifespans given in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is highly probable that each isolated region has a localized sun. This is because the universe is destroyed after a day of Brahma, and Brahma created the wheel of time to give the appearance of time passing in different areas. The inhabitants of different islands in the universe experience their own time frame, and consequently live for 100 local years that each pass at different speeds, causing the relative difference in lifespans. However, on Bhumandala, each entity still has a humanoid form, even those we loosely term demigods. In this case, we may know that the actual demigods exist in a subtle body, while the ones in humanoid forms are simply their representatives. There is a higher dimension mentioned in Bhagavatam, which Srila Prabhupada referred to as heaven, or Svarga. Thus, according to the teachings of Shastra, we do have 2 dimensions. In my humble opinion, we need not conjecture on more than those presented by Vasudeva himself, as he is the Godhead in his literary form, and we should not challenge his authority. The area called Svarga is distinct from the area called Bhu, as is expressed in Canto 2, Chapter 2. In that place, the inhabitants live for a minimum of 430 billion of our Earth years, and they do not have gross physical bodies. Rather, their existence is in the subtle body of the mind, composed of the elements fire, air, and ether. In this region, there are 4 or even 5 successively smaller states, and this could well be the domain scientists are searching for in quantum mechanics. The problem quantum scientists face is that the mind is the perceiving device for the atomic region, and that mind must be completely under the control of the individual inhabiting counter space. If not, the order in both realms would not be maintained because creation takes place in this sphere. Scientists who want to study both dimensions in the universe would do well to take advice from Shastra and become a yogi. Those who have not yet gained access to the inner field of scientific speculation due to their intelligence not being programmed enough, simply follow in the wake of their predecessor leader, and never would they consult or take on board the authority of Shastra. Concerning the Sankhya Yoga so expertly taught by Lord Krishna and Lord Kapiladeva, we find that creation came from the Lord. Thus, at once, most of the atomistic physicists are at loggerheads with Shastra, as it's not possible to be on the bus of impersonalism and personalism at the same time. The bus you ride offers the destination set by the driver. Regarding this, Lord Chaitanya did not want his students to even read the commentaries of the Mayavadi doctrine of Shankaracharya. On introspection, a soul surrendered to the Lord can see where impersonal science is leading, and he should be careful how far he travels with a bus full of impersonalists. Studying the Sankhya Yoga taught by the Lord allows a person to become free from the illusion of a life separate from the Lord. It is important to understand this point and not try to drive your vehicle onto 2 opposing tracks at the same time. In the discipline of Sankhya Yoga, the Lord explains that he first glanced at nature and impregnated her with his time energy and individual souls. This time element is therefore both within everyone and outside of everyone. Time being first given by the Lord and again recreated by Lord Brahma. Nature then displayed her 3 qualities along with the sum total of all possibilities and the primeval sutra Om. The false ego, which bewilders all, then came forth as a biased manifestation, and it is this bias for being the center that sets the demon apart from the devotee and offers gravity's effects. Even though a person may wear the dress of a Vaishnava and be very intelligent, this bias will set him in one category or another. False ego manifests variety when mixed with nature's modes, and when false ego and ignorance mixed with external time, which originated as one and does not pass for even a second, the 5 elements arose with their subtle counterparts. The subtle demigods then began their duties to please and serve the Lord in his universal form, and the saints and devotees followed the same path. When a living entity desires freedom from the material construct, he does not consult the Pandrakas of science. Rather, he must beg Lord Mukunda for permission to merge all elements back in their proper place while offering his intellect in service to the Lord. As the universe is nothing but the Lord, we may consult the Lord in his form as Shastra to understand and present him as he is. Thus, in the minds of real devotees, Shastra is the undisputed gospel. And we will pause here for today. I know a lot of you out there find the Srimad Bhagavatam really interesting. You may have read some of it or all of it. And it's a book that I see come up over and over again in conversation. Well, Vaishnava conversation online. So that is why I wanted to share this text with all of you today to add to the conversation from Radhakaran. And yeah, that's I just like putting voices in with different points of view. And this is one coming from a devoted devotee who really cares about the world and really thinks that Shastra is the light at the end of the tunnel and wants you to follow Shastra.